What is up, Squared Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos, and today we are going over the deck that I'm testing, in these upcoming experimental type weeks. I'm not really doing in-person locals right now, but I'm still, just cranking out decks and trying to test them. I will start this video by saying this by no means is a budget deck. I think the price of this deck is sitting at like about 160, 170 bucks, and that's just because Violent Rays, Topo, and Jiren are kind of expensive, and the 6-drop SR Gogetas are kind of expensive. So this by no means is a budget deck, but it's very archetype specific. It's as close to like Gogeta Tribal as I'm going to probably get. And I haven't played a red deck yet since returning to the game, so I figured now would be the best time to do so since I've played every other color. And, red is, really good right now, in my opinion. So, I'm playing the Gogeta leader from set 11, so I just kind of wanted to go over what I was going to be doing. I'm definitely going to try to get some gameplay featured on the battle chamber, whether it's, the remote battle chamber, obviously, and we're in the midst of working on that setup and that layout and trying to get it better for you guys for viewing purposes. I know the Vegeta, the SS4 Vegeta and the baby Vegeta gameplay wasn't really that great just because of, the visual limitations that I had, but we're definitely working on something like that, and the next one will be a lot better as far as being able to see what's going on both sides of the table there. So I just want to get right into it here. We're playing the Gogeta leader from set 11. Front side 10k attacker auto. When he attacks, you can take 1 life, and then you could look at the top 7 for a red extra card cost of 1, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck, and then when you activate Union Fusion skill, he draws you a card. You awaken at 4 or less life, untap 2 to SSB Gogeta, Prophet of Demise. Now, another reason why I really wanted to play this leader is because Prophet of Demise is such a badass name. I was just like, yeah, I just have to do it. So on the backside, he's a double striker. That's like his permanent, so to speak. He doesn't gain it. He just has it printed on the card. So he's a 15k double striker on the back. Auto, when he attacks, draw a card and he gets plus 5k. So he'll be a 20k double striker. And then also you get to draw a card when you activate Union Fusion skill. So it's just a really good leader. It's Gogeta on both sides, which is relevant. There is a set 6 Gogeta leader, but it's Goku Vegeta on the front, and then it awakens into Gogeta. So him being Gogeta on both sides is really relevant. So we're playing 2 SS3 Goku Man on a Mission. I just felt like you needed that one more just like late game finisher. Obviously Gogeta and Jiren do a lot of work on their own, but sometimes you kind of are telegraphing your plays and they stick. So, Jiren's a Unison that just gets a lot of markers very quickly, and he's hard to deal with because he's 20k. And then obviously your Gogeta chain can't be KO'd. So they're going to stick to the board unless you get max powered or something like that. So your plays are very telegraphed. So having that Man on a Mission just to come in and sneak in that 20k double strike critical damage can either put you over the top or get you within lethal range, bringing your opponent down from 4 to 2 without giving them any extra cards, and then going in with Jiren and Gogeta for that final kill. So I definitely like Man on a Mission. You definitely want to play him later in the game. Getting 6 in the drop area isn't too hard because you're playing Union Fusion, but it's definitely not something that you're probably going to do twice per game. You're probably just going to do it once. But I'm running 2 copies because I was at 48 cards when I finished the deck, and I felt like just throwing 2 in would be a lot better. We're playing 4 of the Raditz super combos. You're playing a mono red deck. There's no point not to play the bottom deck, draw 2 super combos if you're playing mono. Self-explanatory there. And then we're playing the vanilla package. So we're playing 3 Gokus and 3 Vegetas in combination with Birth of a Super Warrior. I really like this card. It's a 1-drop, extra card that gets you 2 bodies on the board, but they have to be skillless, so that's why we're playing the vanillas here. You can either get them from deck to board or drop to board, or you can add them from deck to hand or drop to hand. So this is a very, very versatile card. If you need to put pressure on board, you can do so, or if you need to grab fusion pieces from the drop area or your deck, you can do that as well. I didn't want to max out on the vanillas though, because I don't really want to draw them too much. I want to fetch them. So I kind of figured, 3 and 3 would be great. Plus, I'm playing another set of 1-drops in the deck, and I didn't want to have more than 14 fusion targets, which is kind of what we're running right now. I think 14 might be a little too much, but I think we're okay with ratios and stuff like that right now. So we're playing 3 of each vanillas. Then we're playing the big boys. Obviously, your 6-drop Gogeta. This guy is just a house. 35k double striker. When he attacks or when one of your opponent's cards attacks, you can choose a card on your opponent's side of the board and minus 20k. So he can get rid of Unisons, he can get rid of battle cards, he can get rid of leaders, just bringing them down minus 20k. It's for the battle, so it's pretty decent, especially if you get negated, you could still kind of neg something, whether it's a Unison or a battle card that's just 20k that you want to get rid of. But obviously the Gogetas have that permanent of them not being able to be KO'd, so it's very hard for your opponent to interact with these guys unless they have warp removal, which there is a lot. You have Secret Identity, you have Bardock Fully Unleashed, and you have Max Power Kamehameha. So those are definitely cards that you want to be careful with. But in a best of 1, I think it's okay. I mean, most of the time you would side in your strategies of Universe 7 to protect these guys. Like I said, in a best of 1, it is what it is. You can always restart the chain if you need to. So 6-drop is awesome. 5-drops is really good too. He's a Union Fusion for 3 red and a Gogeta and Goku BR. When you play him, you draw 2 cards and you choose your opponent's battle cards and minus 15k to the board, which is really good. Gets rid of, pesky 15k battle cards that you don't really want to deal with. Also, the 2 Gogetas, when they come into play, if you control a Unison, you get to add markers. The 5-drop, I believe, adds 1, and the 6-drop, I believe, adds 2 markers. So if you already have your Jiren out, which does happen sometimes, like when you don't have your pieces for turn 3, you can go into your Jiren Unison first and then go up the chain. I usually focus on my Gogeta chain first, and then I'll worry about Jiren later because the Gogeta chain is what I'm focusing on in the deck. But there are certain situations where the Jiren will come down first before Gogeta coming out. So the next card we kind of went over already, Birth of a Super Warrior. You can scry it off the top when you peep 7 with your leader, add it to your hand, and it just opens up a lot of plays. And then your secondary 1-drop target, believe it or not, is Violent Raise. Violent Raise is a really good red negate. You pay 1, you pitch a card, and then you can negate the attack, and then you can choose battle cards with 20k or more can't attack for the rest of the turn, or Unisons with 20k or more can't attack for the rest of the turn. So it's just a really good floodgatey type card for red that they didn't really have too much. Yellow has Release from Evil is not really a floodgate, but it's the only thing that I don't like about Violent Raise is that you can't free play it with a Unison on the board. Granted, I know red has Wolffang Fist, which is a great card, don't get me wrong, but tapping that 1, I guess maybe I'm just being greedy, but it would have been really nice to be able to just slap Jiren on the board for 3 and then have defense open. I mean, Dormant Potential is obviously probably the best counter attack card in the game right now, and it gives you that cushion of being able to tap out freely, but then have a floodgate answer for free if you control a Unison. So I feel like Violent Raise should have been that equivalent. I mean, it's probably a lot stronger than Dormant Potential because you are essentially shutting off a turn. Dormant Potential can only KO like up to 2 cost, whereas this shuts off 20Ks or more. So I guess that's the balancing effect on it, but it would have been really nice to be able to tap out for Jiren on turn 3 and then have the ability to play Violent Raise for free. But other than that, it's still a really good negate. You could definitely make the argument for After Image, but if you own Violent Raise, you should be playing Violent Raise. The next 8 cards we're going to go over is Goku and Vegeta prepping for fusion. These guys are really good. They're 1-drops. They look at the top 3 for a Veku or they're missing piece. So Vegeta looks at top 3 for Veku or Goku, and then Goku looks at top 3 for Vegeta or Veku. Obviously, they're just, fusion fodder, but they do have applications early in the game because you can tap 1, play them, you look at the top 3 to add a piece, you can swing with them, and then at the end of the turn, they bounce back to your hand. So you're not really losing your fusion materials, and the fact that they search Vekus is really good because Veku puts on a lot of pressure early game, and he keeps your hand pretty healthy at the same time. So Veku's a 15k 3-drop that we got, I believe in set 6 or set 7, maybe set 6. He's a Union Fusion for free, so you don't have to pay any energy, you just have to have a Goku and Vegeta BR. He comes into play, he's a 15k swing. He can also attack active battle cards, which is really good in my opinion. I was playtesting the other day against Matt, and he was playing the one-drop Vegeta super combos from set 10 that when you play them, you discard a card, and then when you super combo with them, you can obviously draw or whatnot. So I was able to clear his board and just get his little pieces off the board there, because I don't want my opponent to be able to use super combos later in the game. So being able to attack active battle cards is really good. It's always been a really good mechanic in the game. So, and then activate main, you can send him to your drop area, and you can get the 2 materials that you used for fusion back to your hand. So he comes in for free, 15k swing, and then he gets the pieces right back to your hand. That way, if you have the energy open to go into a Gogeta play, you can do it, or you can just go ahead and start using your prepping for fusions to start scrying and looking at more cards. It's just a really good card in my opinion. I think if you're playing the Prophet of Demise leader, and you have access to your godly auras, Vegetas, and Gokus, you definitely should be playing Vekus. That's just my opinion. We're playing 3 Topos. You could make the argument for 4, but I feel like 3 is enough. You're not really going to resolve more than 1 or 2 possibly in a game. He is a 5k combo, which is great. But, for space reasons, I just feel comfortable playing 3. He's a red floodgate. He's really good. You got to be careful with counter plays, obviously. You're still going to be able to get the counter skill, the timing. But, once he comes into the board, you got to be careful with counter plays and stuff like that, because you want to make sure that your auto is going off so that you can prevent your opponent from attacking. Obviously, you got to watch out for stuff like, God-stealing Trunks. Charismatic Villain doesn't really affect him too much because he doesn't negate the skill. He does pop it, but you'll still be able to get that floodgate auto, and he's basically going to stop your opponent. Unless they have a huge hand, they can just go for game. Topo's just a really good defensive card. We're playing 4 Unisons, which is Jiren. I kind of want to give Gotenks a shot from set 11 because he does interact a lot with the Union Fusion mechanic, so you'll be drawing twice as many cards when you Union Fusion. But Jiren is just too good. He's probably like one of the best Unisons in the game. I mean, he just does so much. His auto, neg 10k to a battle card when it's played is really good. His +1 giving it double strike is really good. And then his -3 activate battle, ignoring barrier is amazing. -25k to a battle card, ignoring barrier, activate battle. He does get markers very, very quickly because he comes down for 3 and he upticks right away to 4. So defensively, you'll have that skill open on your opponent's turn if you really need to use it. And the Gogeta chain adds more markers to him. He's a 20k Unison, so it's going to take a lot for your opponent to knock markers off of him. And the more attention they're paying to Jiren, the less attention they're going to be paying to your leader, which, kind of goes hand in hand there. So you could definitely make the argument that it's worth it to test Gotenks, but Jiren is just much, much better. And then the last card we're going over is the expansion Gogeta that we got in expansion set 15. He's a 4-drop, 9k blocker unique. He's a free Union Fusion, so you don't have to pay any energies to bring him out. When you bring him out with Union Fusion, you draw a card, and then his activate main is if you have 4 more energy, you can tap 3 reds to bring out a Gogeta that's cost 8 or less from the deck and play him on top. And then you can't activate that skill for the rest of the turn. So he's just an easier way of cheating in your big Gogetas if you haven't drawn into them, if you have the energy to do so. For the most part, this deck does draw a decent amount of cards, so you should have your Gogeta chain by turn 3. But if you don't, you could always play Jiren on 3 and then go into your chain with the 4-drop on turn 4. As long as you have the energy for it, should be easy to do. You're going to be drawing 2 cards off of the Union Fusion, 1 from him and 1 from the leader, and then you're going to go on into your 5-drop and then up the chain if you have it. So for the most part, I mean, this is pretty like, it builds itself. If you're playing the chain, you need to have enough fusion targets, you need to have good red stuff, and you need to have, your abilities to trigger off multiple times here, especially when you're looking at top 7 for extra cards for your leader. You want to make sure you don't whiff as many times. So that's why I'm playing 8 red extra cards. I think 10 would be the sweet spot, but I really do like Man on a Mission, so I'm not going to take him out for 2 more extra cards. And maybe you could make the argument that Jiren, actually you can't make the argument. Jiren is just infinitely better than Gotenks, but I think Gotenks is worth a shot, simply because of how many markers you can add to him quickly when you're going up the Gogeta chain. And then his -3 being a dual attacker is really nifty. So I guess, this is just a good skeleton. It's a good base point to start off. and then just take it from there. Obviously, there's room to play a secret rare here if you own a copy of SS4 Broly, and there's a lot of different tech choices that you can choose to play, whether you want to main deck them, or if you're playing best of threes, you can side deck your choices as well. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about this deck. Have you guys been playing Gogeta? Have you been testing and having success with it? Are you playing a mono or multicolor strategy? Let's open this up for discussion. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.